To market your business is to experiment. And honestly, that should be so exciting for you. The thought of, figuring out, ooh, does this message work? Or do people like this style of video? Or, oh my gosh, people love when I talk about this. Like, that should truly light you up. Marketing is experimentation, and summer is the perfect time to get into that experimentation bag. So today, I'm going to show you how and why experimentation with your marketing is so important, and how I'm personally making this summer my summer of experimentation with my own marketing. So let's break down what exactly is experimenting with your marketing and what does that look like? Because I'm sure in the past you've just tried stuff and called that experimenting. But let's go scientific method with this. Experimenting is truly just testing a theory. If you think that your reels would get shared more if you did tutorials, then you would test that theory by sharing 15 tutorials over 30 days. Or if you thought that monthly free workshops would grow your warm leads, then for 3 months, you would be doing free workshops. Summer is the perfect time to test your marketing theories for a few reasons. First, you're probably outside more. The sun has finally decided to come out, and you're likely doing more things that are unique to you. I'm from Detroit, solidly Midwest, and summertime energy is completely different than wintertime energy. The clouds are mostly gone, and it's the 3 months out of the year that I can go to bed without needing to wear a sweatshirt. The energy just hits different. And this is the perfect condition to start experimenting because you're outside living life. When you're at a concert or at the cookout, you will get ideas. Things that have been percolating in the back of your head for a long time, they will suddenly make sense and they will start to click. I know for me, when the sun came out and when I started traveling, things honestly just started to click for me in the direction that I wanted to go for my business and my marketing. It just made so much sense of what I wanted to do. All the pieces, they had been there this entire time, but I hadn't made the connection until now. So I'm going to be testing these theories that came out when the sun finally came out. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be sharing it with you all if you join my email list. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of exactly what that looks like. But just know that the sun coming out, it makes all the difference. At the end of the day, summertime is just a great time for self-expression and putting new things out into the world. Now, that's not the only reason why summer is a perfect time to experiment with your marketing. The sun is not a good enough reason. It's a really good reason. I know it's not a good enough reason to convince you as to why now is the time to be experimenting. Let me tell you a couple other reasons. It's the perfect time to start experimenting with your marketing because other people are slowing down. Like I said, people are outside more. They're doing things. They're going to concerts, they're going to Italy. Other people are slowing down while on vacation from their businesses. But you're going to make this your summer of experimentation, and you're going to use this time to cook up some new things. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. I'm not saying don't take a break. I did not say don't enjoy yourself. I'm taking a vacation myself, but I'm still calling it the summer of experimentation. What I want you to do is realize that some people right now, they are creating content simply to make sure that they aren't ghosting their audience until August. You're going to be trying new things. You're going to be testing. Your marketing is not going to be about coasting. It's going to be about testing so that when the fall comes, you are already out ahead. You're going to be cooking up a competitive advantage. I remember when I was in the concrete industry, specifically when I was working on the Middle East project, things were slow in the summer. Mostly because it was just too hot to be doing any type of events or anything in Dubai. But during that time, we were planning. We were getting ready. Because we wanted to be ready when August and September came to come out with new ideas that we had been working on. And because we took that time during the summer to really think through a new direction, we weren't rushing for the last minute for new ideas come fall. That's the type of energy I want you all to have this summer. That same type of competitive advantage of testing, refining, and knowing exactly what works so that when everyone else is just like, okay, shaking off the summertime, let's try to think of something new, you're like already on it, okay? Now, the third reason summer is the perfect time for experimentation is because it gives you a chance to recommit to your goals. You might have realized that we are halfway through the year and you haven't really started working on the goals that you set back in January or February. Now, it's not too late to work on them. And actually, experimenting and trying new things will give you that spark and motivation that you need to really focus on making your goals happen. So many times I've had clients say, I just tried something and then it just ended up being the thing that worked and took me over the top to my goal. Trying new tactics, experimenting with styles, and doing that intentionally really helps you to detach from how you reach your goals. Look, we get so stuck on needing to hit a goal a certain way. But by making this summer of experimentation for you, you open up your mind to new ways of thinking about promoting your offer in ways that honestly you probably haven't even considered. So you're just like, okay, great, Danielle. I am on board with that fact that yes, now is the perfect time for self-expression, to get that competitive advantage, and to recommit to my goals. Great. But let's talk about how you're going to actually make this a summer of experimentation. Because there is a difference between randomly trying things and experimenting with intention. When you experiment with intention, even if the theory that you have doesn't work out, you're collecting valuable data. You're learning something about your audience, about your message, about what resonates. But when you're just randomly trying stuff, you end up frustrated because you don't know why something worked or why it didn't work. So here's how you're going to actually approach your summer of experiments. First, you got to give yourself a timeline. Honestly, I suggest 2 months. And I know that you're going to say like, that feels like a long time. What if it doesn't work out? What if it... No, hear me out. Because it usually takes you at least a month to get into a real flow of the habit of trying something out. Think of the last 30-day challenge that you did. If you made it to the end, you probably started to see a little progress, but maybe not enough yet. You need time to actually see the results hold. And 2 months is enough time to see if things are or aren't working, enough time to make strategic pivots and not just fully quit. It takes about a month for you to get comfortable with whatever new approach that you're taking, and then another month to really collect enough data to know if it's working or not. 2 months is not arbitrary, it's really strategic. So once you come up with your time frame, the next thing that you're going to do is decide what you are actually testing, what you're actually looking for in your experiments. Are you testing a new content style? Maybe you've been doing mostly educational posts and you want to try sharing more behind the scenes content. Or are you testing a new platform? Maybe you've only been on Instagram and now you want to see what happens when you show up on LinkedIn or a podcast. Or are you testing a new way of how you talk about your offer? Maybe you've been focused on features and you want to talk more about the whole overall transformation. Pick one thing. Don't experiment with everything all at once. Because what happens is that when you experiment with too many things, you don't know what was the thing that actually caused it to work or not work. Now, when it comes to tracking, and of course, we have to track if we are experimenting, I don't want you to just look at things like likes and comments. Those are nice, but they don't tell you if your experiment is actually working for your business. Again, go back to what exactly am I testing? And based off of that, how would you know if you are hitting your goals or making progress towards them? Look at things like, are people visiting your profile more? Are they saving your content? Are they clicking links in your bio? Are they sliding into DMs asking questions about working with you? These are metrics that actually matter in your business. Now, if you don't know where to start, or new to marketing your business, or really trying to pinpoint a particular style that you've never done before, I want you to start by studying people whose approach you admire. Not to copy them, but to understand the mechanics of what they're doing. How do they start their videos? What stories do they tell? How do they transition from the hook to the main content to the call to action? Break it down like you're studying for a test. And then practice those mechanics with your content and your own personality. Now, if you've been creating content for a while, you've been in the online space and you're just like, okay, but also want to experiment, I want you to start off by doing this. I want you to go back and look at your best performing content from the last year or two. Yes, a year or two. And I don't mean by looking at the ones that got the most likes. Look at the ones that got people to actually take action. The ones that got people to visit your website, book calls, or buy stuff from you. What were you talking about in those posts? What style were you using? What stories were you telling? Those are clues for what to experiment more with. Maybe you'll notice that every time you share a client story, you get more inquiries. So your experiment should be sharing more client stories, but in different formats. Or maybe you'll notice that your behind the scenes content always gets people asking about your process. So you should experiment with different ways of showing the behind the scenes of what it's like working with you. The key is to be intentional about it. So you're not just throwing content at the wall. You're testing theories about what your audience wants to see from you in order to get more conversions. And here's the mindset shift that I want you to make. Instead of thinking like, oh man, I really hope this works. I really am putting on this pressure, like this has to work in this 2 months time. I really need this to happen. I want you to think instead, I'm curious what happens with this. I want you to take this curiosity approach because that takes the pressure off. I know for me in particular, when I feel pressure about anything, I freeze. I don't do anything. That is my response. And going into this period of experimentation, this summer of experimentation, I was starting to feel the pressure from myself. Nobody was making me do this. I wanted to do this. And yet I still was feeling this pressure like, no, this has to work. I need to get this result. I'm doing this in public. I'm having people come along the ride for me. I need to do things perfectly. But that defeats the purpose of an experiment. An experiment just shows that maybe this did or did not work. Either way, you are learning from it, okay? And so I want you to release this pressure. I'm saying that to you, but I'm also saying this for me because I need to hear this for myself. Take a step back. Be a little bit removed from it. The experiment working or not working does not mean anything about your ability as a coach, as a service provider, as a marketer, or anything. It just means that you had an experiment, you had a theory, and it worked out the way that you wanted, or it didn't. Either way, if you look at it as like, oh, I got valuable information about what to do next time, you will come out winning. Again, I'm speaking to myself as much as I am speaking to you all. Because I'm going to be honest, people can feel when you are marketing from a place of curiosity versus a place of desperation. People can tell, your audience can feel it. And they are going to respond better to your sense of curiosity. So let's enter into the season with that. And I'm going to be doing this right alongside you. Now, if you follow me on Instagram at Danielle.R.Harris, you're going to be seeing me trying some new things there. Now, go to the show notes, follow me on Instagram, and that's where we're going to see the type of content that I'm going to be sharing as part of this experiment. But if you're nosy, because I am, but if you're nosy, if you want to know like, oh, what's happening, what's going on, what is she learning, sign up for my email list because that's where I'm sharing how I'm setting up my experiments, what's working, what's flopping, and the data behind each decision, as well as ways for you to make this the summer of experimentation in marketing for yourself too. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Let's get to experimenting. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.